So on the soybean side of development, we're entering the crucial month of August when the yield is made. Now, the unique thing about soybeans is that they tolerate a lot of things, and dry weather certainly is one of them, to a point. I call it soybeans kind of go to sleep. And many of you have probably seen soybeans that reach about hip high in mid-July go through a dry weather period, and then they might shrink down to about knee high. However, late season, late August rains have a tendency to revive it, and you may have the ability to take a yield potential and double it with a August rain. It just depends upon where the crop was at before it went through the dry weather pattern. Now, other things that pop up in August is things like SDS, and you can kind of see in this field, specifically along the edges, some of the ill-fated effects of SDS beginning to start. Sudden death syndrome is another form of fusarium. Probably going to see it along the edges of the fields, much like what we talk about with gall midge or a lot of other pests, pathogens, whatnot. They have a tendency to work on plants that are struggling from water uptake, struggling from nutrient uptake. They're not the healthiest, and they're an easy mark for a lot of these problems to kind of infect. Again, is what can you do to manage this? And these are the things that I always approach from a standpoint of, okay, all right, we see it, what can you do for next year? So a lot of the pathogen problems, a lot of the insect problems, relieving nutritional and soil problems, soil compaction problems, is a step in the right direction. It's not the absolute answer, but it is a step in the right direction. There are varieties that do well with soybean cyst nematode, and you would think that if you have a fair amount of tolerance to soybean cyst nematode, that your tolerance for sudden death syndrome would improve, which I would have a tendency to agree with. I don't have any data to support that, just because it's so hard to replicate a treatment such as a soil seed treatment for SCN and have that also layered with a soybean or a sudden death syndrome event. It's dang near impossible to replicate it. So, you know, these are the things that you think about, the things that you see in August. So if we just look at the developmental side of where this soybean field specifically is, developmental wise, we talked about corn developing from the butt of the cob toward the tip. Well, soybeans kind of do it the same way, from the bottom of the plant up towards the top. So when you look at these, you can see how well you're potted here at the base of the plant, and some of these pods that are just starting to develop and get some length to them here at the top of the plant. You actually can feel the seed inside the pod here at the bottom, and the top sees flat. These pods are still generally flat. Can those pods at the top still abort? Sure. Can they still fill? Sure. It's a little bit different, like again, from what we talked about, soybeans develop in August. So you can add, 30 to 50% of yield potential on this soybean plant still here in August, but everything has got to go right. Previously, we talked about weather and environment and management strategies that persisted that caused a lot of this soybean cupping. That has kind of gone away a little bit, but even driving down the roads today on the 2nd of August, you can still find areas, fields that still exhibit some of that cupping. Again, cupping, if it hadn't killed the plant initially on an off-target drift question, you're not going to have cupping linger that long. So it's not so much an off-target drift thing, it's probably more of a genetic, a trait environment, that type of thing that has persisted with that. And given this pattern of weather, I can't help but think that those shorter cupped beans are going to be ones that probably yield a little bit less. So here again, just wanted to kind of give you a little update here on the 2nd of August of where we're at from a developmental standpoint. Always appreciate your attention and time, and we thank you.